For District 1, and I am thankful for serving as your director for these past 3 years. I would like to welcome those of you in person and also those of you who are joining us virtually for your district meeting. Because of COVID, the last in-person District 1 meeting took place 6 years ago in 2018. It means a lot to me as a director to meet you, all of you in person, and gatherings like this drive home the point that Lake Region is different from other utilities. We're different because we put our members at the center of everything, and the foundation of our co-op lies at the heart of these local meetings. We continue to enter exciting times, and your directors continue to work hard to make sure your cooperative continues to serve you in the manner you deserve. We've had rate stability for several years, seeing only 2 general service rate changes over the past 12 years, one of which took place this past year in 2023. Your Board of Directors approved the 2023 general service rate changes that went into effect this past September. And these changes were necessary to maintain the financial strength of your cooperative. Our cooperative, just like our families, friends, and neighbors, has been dealing with inflation over the past couple of years in ways we haven't seen for some time. We have seen material costs double in the past couple of years. Inflation and other events out of our control, unfortunately, can impact our members in ways none of us want to see. But your directors and the Lake Region team continue to push forward with purpose to serve you in the best manner that we can. Lake Region wouldn't be in business if it wasn't for all of you, our member owners. You are the reason for our existence, and you share in our success. We have made it a priority to continue to look for ways to transform your member experience with Lake Region. I would like to thank all of you members, fellow directors, and employees for staying engaged, working together, and continue to move forward the great cooperative started by so many hardworking people back in 1937. I'm excited to announce that we are once again holding 3 in-person annual meeting locations this year. One at the Life Church in Fergus Falls, one at the Frazee Events Center, and also one at the Prairie Events Center in Parkers Prairie. The annual meeting will take place on April 18th at 6:30 p.m. And as in past years, members will also be able to live stream the annual meeting. If you are joining us virtually, please use the chat feature available at any time during this meeting if you have any questions. We will be responding to questions from those of you who are here in person or live streaming at the end of CEO Tim Thompson's presentation. If you do not get your question in today, please be assured an employee from Lake Region will follow up with you in the near future. We need a meeting chair for this meeting to preside over the nomination process. I would propose that our attorney, Chad Felstuhl, be the meeting chair for the district meeting. Does anyone have any other nominees to act as chair for this meeting? This is where I scan the room and hope that second thoughts overwhelm your consideration, and we'll continue to proceed. Thank you. Easy enough. Your chairman for the meeting is, in fact, Chad Felstuhl. If a vote is needed for candidates for the Board of Directors, voting will occur in person by paper ballot. The voting process will only be needed if we have more than 2 nominees for candidates for the director position. If there is only 1 candidate nominated, no voting is required, and he or she will be placed on the ballot and elected by acclamation unless there is a petition candidate, and then both the nominated candidate and the petition candidate will be placed on the ballot. I am glad you could join us to learn more about what Lake Region Cooperative and be able to participate in local democracy by participating in the nomination process. Before we begin the nomination process, I want to take a moment to introduce the rest of our Board of Directors. Their picture and district should be on the screen to my left, straight ahead of you. As you know now, I am the District Director for District 1. I hail from the Rothsay area. District 2 is Bud Hensel, right back there. From the Frazee area. We have Mike Brazel from the Perham area, representing District 3, back corner. Earl Rydell. Last night, Earl did his swan song. He is terming out with us after a very fortunate 15 years. We appreciate your service. Thanks for being here this morning. District 5, Patrick Myers from the Cormorant area. Charlie Blixt, I saw Charlie in the back from the Pelican Rapids or Earhart area is representing District 6. Tom Jennen from the Fergus Falls area is here, District 7. Jim Gronbreck from the Amor Battle Lake area representing District 8. And Gary Olson, I know he isn't going to be here this morning. He's from the Parkers Prairie area, and he's representing District 9. Our meeting continues now with nominations. Our meeting chair will guide us through the process. Mr. Felstool, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Kruger. Good morning, everyone. There are two ways that an individual can be nominated to become a candidate for the Board of Directors. The first way is the reason that you are all here today is through the nomination process. The second way is after the meeting today, a candidate has 30 days to obtain 50 signatures from District 1 to have their name placed on the ballot. And so those are the two ways that you can become a candidate for the Board of Directors for the annual meeting in May. As chairman for this district meeting, I have appointed Greg Larson as our recording secretary, and this is going to come as a surprise to the two individuals here because I didn't talk to them before, which is my fault. But I have appointed Tyler Linus and Brian Johnson as tellers. If a vote is needed. If no vote is needed, then they don't need to do anything, but if a vote is needed, I will buy them. I will buy you both a donut if we have to count. So the tellers will physically count the ballots if a vote is needed, and like Mr. Kruger said, a vote will only be needed if there are more than 2 candidates nominated here this morning. We have more than 10 members here present from District 1, and therefore I declare that we have a quorum for this district meeting. When you are nominating an individual, I would ask that you state and spell your name so we can get that in the minutes, and then state and spell the name of the candidate that you are putting up for nomination. Are there any questions about the qualifications for director or the nomination process in general? Hearing none, I declare that the nomination process to be open. This is open for 2 minutes. It's going to seem like an eternity. Luckily, we changed our bylaws from 3 minutes down to 2 minutes, so you get to stare at me for 2 minutes. Are there any nominations? Yes, sir.
I'm Bryant Haugrud, B-R-Y-A-N-T-H-A-U-G-R-U-D, and I would like to nominate Mr. Kurt Kruger.
Thank you, Mr. Haugrud. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? I do feel like law school professors, and you guys were me. Well, you all look down when I look at you, thinking I'm going to call on you, but I promise I won't. Are there any other nominations? With no other nominations, would someone be willing to make a motion to close the nominations for District 1?
Gerald Oliver, I make that nomination.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? Thank you, ma'am.
Holly Thorsness.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to close the nominations for District 1. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Kruger, would you please stand? To the best of your knowledge, do you meet the qualifications for director? If so, please answer yes.
Yes.
Would you like to say a few words?
I'll say a few words. Fair enough. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, pleasant surprise to see you hardy Minnesotans, you hardy District 1 members making it out this morning. I really wondered when I left my yard what it was going to be like today to see, but here you are, and I appreciate you doing that. I was thinking 3 years ago when I did this, I was told beforehand, not only will you be bringing a person to nominate you, you better bring a teller along with you too. And when I got here, I was able to take my mask off just long enough to step in front of a camera, make a quick presentation, mask went right back on. And I'm very thankful those days are behind us, excuse me, for now. So I remember what I said a few years ago, and that hasn't changed. First and foremost, the priority is that our members, owners, have safe, reliable, reasonably priced electricity. And I will emphasize reliable. This day and age, we all get to listen to the various forms of energy and how it comes forward, but I think the most responsible thing to do is to make sure that we meet the demand that continues to increase. Nothing's going to change about that as the days move forward, and it's been a pleasure to serve these almost 3 years, and I look forward to continuing to do that for another term. So thank you all very much for your support.
Thank you, Mr. Kruger. Since there was only one nominee today, Mr. Kruger's name will be placed on the ballot for election at the annual meeting. If there is no petition candidate in the next 30 days, Mr. Kruger will be elected by acclamation, meaning that you do not have to vote at the annual meeting. If there is a candidate that comes forward through the petition process, that individual will be placed on the ballot, and you will be able to vote at the annual meeting in April. Now, I would like to welcome our CEO, Tim Thompson, to give his remarks. Tim?
Chad. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here this morning to participate in your district meeting. These district meetings are a very important part of our electric cooperative. It's a great opportunity for members to come together at the local grassroots level to nominate members for the board of directors. It's also a great opportunity for members to visit with the board of directors here at Lake Region and the employees who are here this morning as well. Having a room full of Lake Region members, board members, and employees is another great example of member engagement at our cooperative. We believe having a high level of member engagement is really important as we build this cooperative for our future. And that's why we continue to work on ways to bring more member engagement to our cooperatives. For an example, the middle part of this slide, those colorful dots, if you will, they represent a location across our large service territory where we've had some form of member engagement in the last couple of years. That comes in both in-person type meetings as well as virtual meetings. We have our Coffee with the Co-op program and our Apps and Chats program where we get out into cafes, restaurants across our territory, invite members in, join us for a cup of coffee, and let's just chat about things that are going on at Lake Region. What's on your mind? It's a great way to engage, and we really enjoy doing them with the membership. We also have virtual opportunities. One is our VMAC or our VMAC, our Virtual Member Advisory Committee. Through a Facebook platform, we can engage with members electronically, ask them questions, get feedback from them. Another great way to engage with our members, as well as our Energy Corner, where we really want to be your local trusted source of energy issues related information. As Kurt mentioned, one of our best ways to engage with our members is our annual meeting. So proud of this. In the last couple of years, we've really upped our game. We have those 3 now in-person locations for our members to attend, with the primary location in Fergus Falls, and we can live stream the event into the Parkers Prairie Event Center as well as the Frazee Event Center. With this model, 98% of our members now live within 25 miles of a in-person site. We want to bring it to the members, make it easier for our members to participate, and by doing it virtually, which is wonderful as well, more people can join us. The last couple of years, we've averaged approximately 1,200 people attending our annual meeting. Last year, we introduced an energy forum. We're going to do another one this year. The energy forum is really an opportunity for members who want to take a deeper dive on energy issues. We want to bring in energy experts to Lake Region, allow our members to connect with those energy experts and industry leaders. They'll make presentations to us. We can have a Q&A session with them. And this year, we're going to add a breakout sessions after the general sessions. It's a suggestion that a member made on a variety of topics, from things like electric vehicles, things like residential battery storage, things like our residential standby generator program, as well as our Go West solar program that we have for members. We're planning that right now. That's scheduled for May 30th at Thumper Pond. Also like to invite everybody to our Member Appreciation Day again this year. It's going to be at beautiful Maplewood State Park. Please come out and join us on August 8th there if you can. There'll be free food for everybody. There'll be no cost that day for Lake Region members to enter the park, just have some fun together. So proud of this. We'll have some linemen there. They'll be doing our electrical safety demonstration trailer. Really encourage you, can you bring your kids, your grandkids? It's so important that we educate our youth on electrical safety and how to stay safe around electricity. And our linemen do a fantastic job with that trailer unit that we have. We'll have some electric bikes there for you to ride. If you've never ridden one, highly recommend it. It's all the fun without all the work. We'll have our electric vehicles there as well. I've just got a Ford Lightning pickup truck into our fleet, and we've got a Ford Mach-E, that's the Mustang, in our fleet. People can take those for a test drive if they would like to. Well, your cooperative continues to grow. We now serve 29,780 customers. This past year, we built 362 new electric services for our members. A lot of that growth comes around the over 1,000 lakes across our large 3,200 square mile service territory. We have 5,865 miles of power line. Our gas company, LRES, Lake Region Energy Services, that we formed back in 2016, also continues to grow. We have 1,196 natural gas customers. We built 42 new gas services this past year. And we have 67 really wonderful, dedicated, committed employees to serve our members. They do a fantastic job. They keep our cooperative running smoothly every day, from the customer service people in the front of our office that perhaps you had a chance to greet this morning as you came in, from the smile in their voice, all the way back to the linemen who could have maybe responded to your power outage last night. I can't say enough good things about those employees. When you came in this morning, if you happen to notice the scrolling pictures, if any of you saw that, that is all what has happened here in the last 8 or 9 days. We sent 7 linemen to North Dakota to support the effort during that ice storm. Awesome job. And I'm really pleased to report on our member feedback survey of this past year. We had 2,797 members participate in our member satisfaction survey. That's more members participating than we've ever had in the past. And I'm so pleased to report that our member satisfaction continues to increase. It's going in a positive direction. When we asked the membership that question, how satisfied are you with your cooperative? We got a 9 out of 10. We get meaningful comments back from the membership. We really appreciate those. We study them hard. We work on those. It's very motivating for us to receive feedback from you. We get a lot of comments around our reliability and our rates, and those are the 2 things that I like to talk about. I want to start with reliability. I like to say that today's world, reliability is king. Without electricity, nothing works very well. Let's start with the transmission reliability for Lake Region. The transmission system are those larger structures, those larger, taller poles that brings the electricity down to a local Lake Region substation that we own and serve you in your area. We don't own the transmission system. Well, back in 2018, we were experiencing a lot of transmission-related problems. When there's transmission issues, That comes down, of course, to the substation and to you and causes outages and issues for us at our level. So we met with our transmission services providers, and we put together a plan to improve transmission reliability to Lake Region. Long story short, we spent $22 million invested in the transmission system for our members since 2019. Just want to point out the 5 big ones. These red dots represent those 5 big projects at the top of our territory. Lake Eunice Substation. GRE built a new transmission from the north to serve that Lake Region substation to solidify the reliability and quality of service in that northern part of our system. This GRE Frazee transmission substation, a very large transmission level substation that feeds multiple Lake Region substations. $10 million invested right there to improve that substation. The next one there, the GRE Schuster Lake transmission substation. That's an additional transmission substation that's been added in our area. It's right along Highway 10 there near Perham, really solidifying the grid for us, kind of a new source of electricity coming into our grid. Really bodes well for the future and for growth for Lake Region. The GRE Hennings transmission substation, they refurbished that substation as well. It serves a couple of Lake Region distribution substations. And then we've made improvements to the 10 Mile Lake substation there in the southern part of our territory. So this green area is the area of our service territory that is now, it has improved reliability just from transmission improvements. That's 21,000 consumers of ours, or 73% of our consumers live in those green shaded areas. And now that we've worked this plan this far and got these projects done, we can measure the before and after effect. So before this work was done, back in 2018, these green shaded areas were experiencing 64 transmission related outages per year. That has now come down to 24 per year, the 63% reduction in transmission related outages for us. We continue to reinvest in our local grid, certainly. This is the historical trend line of outage times per member per year. You can see the back in the day, 2004 time frame, for every member at Lake Region on average, out of power for 4.4 hours per year. It's come down nicely. We finished up 2023 at 1.6 hours per member. That's a 64% decrease in outage times over this time period due to a lot of good grid improvements. Tree clearing, we are doing more than we ever have. And technology, I can't say enough about your board of directors. They support new technology and innovation, and it's so much appreciated, and it's really making a difference for us. One of the new things is our Distribution Grid Improvement Program, or DGIP as we call it. These newer things are all about using new technology, innovation, and enhanced employee engagement to prevent outages for our members. Again, a picture of our service territory. With all the data that we have and all the outage history that we have, we know where the worst pockets in our system are in terms of reliability. We started by identifying those 10 worst areas in those locations, and we gave that information to our linemen. Asked them to go out and look at these 10 areas, use their knowledge, skill, and ability to come up with ways to improve reliability in these 10 areas. The green shaded ones are now completed. The one at the top, the pinkish color one, isn't quite yet, but 3,921 members live in these areas and should be experiencing improved reliability now. This was our first set of projects. We're just going to continuously do this now going forward and drive out those weak spots on our grid, if you will. Just an example of one of the projects that's coming up in your district here, a pretty important one. This is a 120-pole replacement project along a 30-mile stretch. Here's the route of that 30 miles. Starts over by Earhart and comes to the west there, as you can see along that red line, 30 miles there. Replacing poles along there. You can see the pole line there in the picture, and then the picture over on the right, what you can see the aging of the system there. That insulator and wire and cross arm really needs to be replaced. So we're going to be doing that hopefully this year. About a $240,000 project to give you an idea what some of these projects cost. And when that project's done, it should help the reliability for 366 Lake Region members. Another new technology for us is our Exactor program, very much trying to be proactive to find problems on our system that are small problems before they become big problems and cause an outage. For you, how this Exactor technology works for us. This picture here, this exactor technology in that truck, driving parallel along that power line is sensing that power line and collecting data. Make a couple passes along that power line, and when you're done, it'll give us a location that says, you know what, you want to go to this location and do further investigation. So that's what this lineman is doing. With this device, he's scanning over the equipment at the top of that pole, like insulators, and sure enough, there was a bad insulator at the top of that pole. Still working, but it's in a pre-fail state and eventually is going to fail. So what we can do proactively, this other picture, it's not the same project, but what that picture shows on your right-hand side is our lineman out there. It was an insulator issue also. Our lineman got out there. Instead of just changing out the insulator, they decided to set a new pole and new insulator, and that's what they're doing, transferring that hot, energized power line. They're doing that work while that power line is energized. So finding these proactively and doing it this way, members aren't experiencing power outages. The other thing that I really like about this from a safety for our employees standpoint is we're doing this on a nice day in a very controlled environment, part of our normal workload. Well, if we don't be proactive, when is that insulator going to fail? Maybe at night, maybe during a storm, linemen having to get up in the middle of the night, going out in the dark and working on this stuff. We believe it's just a safer program overall for our members, our employees. Since the year 2020, we have now scanned 1,591 miles of our power line, and we'll continue to do that around our entire system. We found 265 pieces of equipment in what we call that pre-fail condition, and we've gotten out there already and fixed 219 of those. Think about preventing 265 outages. That's a lot of outages. Another new technology and another program we're trying to take to the next level is our vegetation management program utilizing technology called AI Dash. Currently, 22% of our outages are caused by trees. Your board of directors here in 2024's budget increased our tree clearing budget up to $2.3 million. That's come up a lot in the last number of years. Used to be in that 1.2 million, 1.5 million. Now we're up to 2.3, again, to attack the outages that are caused by trees. How this AI Dash technology works is pretty awesome, really. Satellite imagery of our system is captured from multiple angles, and this technology can monitor the clearances between the power line and the trees around the power line and give us a comprehensive tree trimming and removal plan like is shown here. This is our grid, and those power lines are color-coded, and based on our inputs and criteria, tells us where we need to go in 2024, 25, and 26 to keep the adequate clearances. A wonderful management tool for us, and again, thank you to the board of directors for being willing to invest in innovation and technology to better serve our membership. Of course, our ultimate goal is to best serve the membership with a best-in-class vegetation management program. Just to give you an idea where we've been in the last few years here in District 1 with our tree clearing. In 2019, for example, the kind of yellow or orangish colored lines over there, we did Pelican Lake Substation Circuit 4. In 2020, the green areas, we worked the Earhart Substation Circuit 4. In 2021, the blue lines, the Roberts Circuit 1 and 3 substations areas. And then in 2022, the red areas, Earhart Circuit 5. With our new model and forecast for the next upcoming years, here's what it's telling us for here in District 1. We'll be in the Pelican Lake Substation Circuit 1 and 3 this year in 2024, as well as the red area there for Tansom 3 and Tansom 4. In 2025, we'll be in Earhart Circuit 3. In 27, Ross Day 2 and Tansom 1. So hope you can see how this tool really gives us a way to better manage our massive, complex system in terms of clearing trees. Well, when we talk about reliability today, and I really appreciated Kurt's comments, we need to think about our supply of electricity too, right? Where the electricity comes from. So what's happening in our country is the demand for electricity is gradually just keeps going up, right? We're electrifying more of our economy. And so the demand continues to go up while the supply continues to evolve and change as we transition to a more carbon-free environment with our power supply. And the key to that is going at the right pace so supply and demand don't get too far out of whack. What's happening right now, the latest forecast for the winter that finally came here in this year, the demand for electricity in the MISO system, and that's a very large part of the U.S. from Manitoba down to Louisiana, the forecast for the peak demand is about 102 to 105 gigawatts of electricity. That's the demand. The supply is in that 122 gigawatt area, so there's a reasonable buffer there, and that's what's got to be managed. We've got to make sure that the supply and demand, we have that cushion, that little savings account, if you will, of electricity, so when we hit those peak demands, we've got enough electricity to keep the lights on. What I'm wanting to talk about in terms of our power supply, Great River Energy, our generation and transmission cooperative that we own part of. Here in Minnesota, they have all hours reliability, as our president from GRE says, David Segu, and that's largely coming from these large natural gas-fired peaking plants. Peaking plants are just that. They don't run very often. They just run during those peak times when the demand is way up. Hot summer days, cold winter days, when our demand for electricity is at a peak, these natural gas-fired plants can come on quickly and carry us through those peak times. 3 of these plants, Pleasant Valley, Elk River, and Lakefield Junction, already have dual fuel capability, as we call it. So they're powered by natural gas primarily, but they also have on-site backup fuel supply fuel oil. So if there's any disruption or whatever problems with the natural gas, it can quickly change over to the fuel oil, which is good redundancy built into our system for reliability. Cambridge currently is not, but GRE just got approved with the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, the permit for that, and they'll be converting Cambridge to dual fuel as well here in the next couple of years. So just an example here of what we're doing as utilities to build more redundancy and more reliability into our supply. Let's talk about our rates strategy for a little bit. Certainly our rate strategy is to keep our rates as low as possible for members, certainly and particularly in these times of inflation that we're all experiencing. And we do that by engaging with members to control costs and create new revenue streams to help keep those rates as low as possible. As Kurt mentioned, this strategy has worked well for us. We've had 2 rate adjustments over the past 12 years. How do our rates compare to other Minnesota cooperatives? What's the cost for 1,000 kilowatt hours for the month at Lake Region compared to this group of cooperatives in our peer group? 13 different electric cooperatives across the state from A to L over there. For 1,000 kilowatt hours at this co-op A, this is what their members pay. And you can see the higher cost ones are at that end of the scale. Didn't seem like it was very many years ago. Lake Region, which is green here, was out in this range. Today, we're right here, second lowest in our peer group. A lot of good reasons for that. First one is our productive employees achieving positive results for our membership through hard work, through the technology we've talked a little bit about this morning, through innovation in our culture at Lake Region. We've increased our productivity by 73% since 2005. If we go back to 2005, for every 1 employee at Lake Region, we could serve 260 customers. Today, that's up to 450 customers per employee. What this line represents right here is the average for all of the electric cooperatives in Minnesota who are part of the Great River Energy family. There's 28 in that group. You can see back here, we were a little bit below the average. Today, we're significantly above the average. Again, just can't say enough good things about the people in our organization. What does that type of productivity enhancements mean to us in terms of our cost structure and keeping our rates as low as possible? These are in real actual dollars. Back in 2006, the administrative and general function at Lake Region, the cost for A&G expenses at Lake Region was $3.1 million. Today, at the end of 2023, that number is $2.7 million. And if you do the math and divide it by the number of consumers we serve, that's gone from $125 per customer per year to $90. We absolutely want to do everything we can to be as productive and as efficient as we can and being good stewards of your dollars. Helps us keep our rates. as low as possible. I love this slide. I'll do my best to explain it. This is maybe our best example of member engagement at Lake Region and member participation. What this shows is, this is a snapshot of a day back in February of last year. It was a cold day. This was the day that we set a Great River Energy peak demand, okay? And this is Lake Region's peak that day. So we start out the day up here. This is blue line. That's all of our members' electrical use for the day. We're rocking along. 90,000 units, let's call it kilowatts. We're rocking along here. We know this is coming. It's a peak day. There's going to be a control system. Because we have 12,462 members participating in at least one load control program and 14,000 controllable loads this morning, I got to deviate a little bit here. Steve Hybe, where are you at? Back here. We all know Steve, great guy. We were talking this morning, you know, I think about 12,000 or 14,000 controllable loads. That's how many thousands of times we work with a member. We engaged with a member. A member participates with us so we can achieve this peak reduction. It's just amazing to me that we have that many of our members engaged with us on this program. So we're rocking along on this blue line at 90,000. Control period. What do? We don't keep going ahead on that yellow line, because if we do, we're going to pay for 90,000 units. No, we can control. Bring it all the way down here, about 63,000 kilowatts or units. The difference between being on that dotted line and the actual line down here where we were for the day saved Lake Region $436,000 that 1 month. That's how we can create these off-peak lower cost programs for our members, and it lowers our wholesale power costs. Super important to us, very strategic to us going forward. Hopefully we can continue to create new programs for even more load control and engagement with our members. The other big part of our strategy has been to create new revenue streams and lower costs, trying to be innovative. Some examples here. Our standby generator program that we started a few years ago, we now have over 500 standby generators out there for our members that we've installed and maintained for our members. That creates a new revenue stream for Lake Region Electric Cooperative. Anytime that we can bring new money in from a new source, it's less dollars your board has to build into your electric rate. As you probably know, we are now an owner, an investor, a shareholder of Carr's Tree Service. We're now doing $2.3 million of tree trimming a year. I think it just strategically makes sense to be an owner of a high-quality, safety-oriented organization like Carr's Tree Service. As an owner, of course, we share in the financial success of that organization. When they have success, they pass that back to the ownership group, so that brings some dollars into Lake Region. The big picture in the middle is LREC, our gas company. It's been a success, and that too is a revenue stream for us, and I love how the model works. We can take fixed costs off of Lake Region Electric Cooperative, allocate them into the natural gas company, and collect those fixed costs through the rates of the 1,200 natural gas customers we have, lowering some of our costs on the cooperative, again, designed to keep your rates as stable as we can. And then being innovative, taking advantage of new technology, renewable energy. Our wind-solar hybrid project is our best example of that. If you're not familiar with it, you can actually, maybe not today, but most days you can see it. The wind turbine is out here, kind of to the southwest of Lake Region's headquarters. It's all served on the Earhart substation, but it combines and harnesses both the wind and the solar all in one project, and it's a low cost of power for us. It interconnects directly into our distribution system. So proud of our engineering team to figure this out, Al. First in the nation. And it's local renewable energy that saves our members money. That's really good. So these four things together last year created approximately $1 million of total positive rate benefits for our members. You ever stop and think about how many times we've already used electricity this morning? It's a lot. Think about the value of electricity. Think about the convenience and comfort that it brings to our lives. For about a penny, you can fully charge your cell phone 18 times. Think about what that penny does in terms of what that allows you to do, what that enables you to do with that little thing that we carry around in our pocket. For a penny, you know, if you're like me, get up in the morning, I need a cup of coffee. For about a penny, I can run my coffee pot and brew a cup of coffee. for about a penny with high-efficient light bulbs in our homes. Get about 11 hours of reading time at a lamp. Tremendous value from electricity. Well, how did your cooperative do financially for the year? I want to emphasize the word estimated up there. We don't have December closed yet. December with this weather is a wild card. We'll see how that impacts us. But we're estimating we'll finish up the year with a bottom line of $3.3 million margin. That's a solid year for Lake Region Electric Cooperative. Just two highlights that I'd like to mention. The power cost that we pay to Great River Energy at the wholesale level, we saw a pretty significant increase in January of last year, a year ago. We saw about a 6% increase in wholesale power cost. So we absorbed a lot of additional wholesale power costs last year before we put our new rates in place in September. So we absorbed that higher cost for a period of time. That was a bit of a drag on our margin, our bottom line. And then, of course, the other thing that we're all very familiar with, unfortunately, is just general inflation. Everything, as we all know, has gone up. Again, the best example we can give you is for a transformer. Today, it's about twice as much as it was just a few years ago, and so that really hasn't backed off yet either. So hopefully that will start to ease for us. But those are two of the things that kind of knocked our margin down a little bit for the year. But again, a solid year. This is the trend line for the equity of your cooperative, the strength of the balance sheet. We estimate at the end of 2023 here, our equity to be about $69 million. That's now tripled from back in 2005. With that strong balance sheet, one of the best board meetings of the year is when the board looks at that and makes the decision to retire capital credits back to the ownership. Last year, we paid back $1.5 million to the membership. That comes in three parts from Lake Region, Great River Energy, and our bank, CFC. We now have paid back over $1 million, 11 consecutive years. And look at that big number at the bottom. Then paid out $39 million, a little over $39 million since this co-op first started retiring capital credits back in 1958. It's also really wonderful to work for an organization who is very involved in the community. Just love these pictures. Here's a picture where we're involved with the school, our linemen in a school, talking about the safety of electricity. Look how dialed in those kids are. Man, they're really paying close attention, aren't they? That's great. We had a booth at the East Otter Tail County Fair last year, another engagement opportunity for us to engage with our members. So much appreciate our employees participating in those types of things. The Western Minnesota Steam Thrashers Association over in Rolog, probably most of us are familiar with that. How cool is this? So we bought a couple big flags a few years ago, and we fly them with our big bucket trucks, again, thanks to our linemen and Brian and Paul and others at different events. And we've flown them at our annual meeting. We'll fly them out here, 4th of July, that type of thing. As we started doing this, organization like the Threshers Association asked if we'd come and set up our bucket trucks and fly the flag there for them. They had kind of a veterans military theme last year, which is wonderful. And yeah, we were more than happy to bring the bucket trucks up there and fly the American flag. And we also did a twins clinic last year. Some coaches came up and just did a wonderful job coaching up the kids there. You can see the picture. We plan to do another one of those this coming summer. And one of our best programs in terms of making a difference in people's lives is our Operation Roundup program. Just a wonderful program. This is where we as members, through the generosity of our members, we can round up our power bill to the next $1 each month, and that small change goes into the Operation Roundup Fund. This wonderful group of volunteer Lake Region members are the Operation Roundup Board of Directors. They decide where those dollars get paid out to. Just one example here in this district was a contribution made to the Habitat for Humanity House in Barnesville. This program was started back in 2007, and since that time, the cooperative has paid back about $626,000 to these types of organizations. Again, thank you for all your support on this program. If you're interested at all in joining that, please let us know. Well, in conclusion and in summary, I honestly hope that you feel that your cooperative is committed to serving you In the cooperative business model, you are the owners and we are the servants. We are here to serve you. And if there's ever a moment where you don't feel like we're committed to serving you, I hope you let us know. That's our job. We'll do it to the best of our ability. Can't thank you enough for coming out on this slick morning. And yeah, I just sincerely hope that you feel like your co-op's committed to serving you. At this time, would love to entertain any questions if you'd like. And I think, do we have anything on the chat, Dylan? Nothing? Okay, thank you. How many do we have on the chat here? Or online? 5 online this morning? Thank you all for joining us online. Yes, sir.
Is there a plan available for future installations of gas lines?
Great question. We continue to analyze areas where the natural gas could expand. What's really challenging is with inflation here the last few years, the whole challenge to get natural gas service out into these areas that haven't had it is the cost of that infrastructure. And so price of material has gone up significantly in the last few years. So it's really been hard to cost justify an expansion. Now we continue to look at things. We continue to monitor the price of things, the installation costs of that. Do we have a specific project where we're going next? The answer is no. But we do continue to look at some of the more populated areas, honestly. The original project started where we were serving 4 small towns. The secret recipe is if you have an area that's got, say, a small town or multiple small towns close together, so you have some density of customers. And what we found over in the Parkers Prairie, Deer Creek area with that first project, we had the small towns, and then we had some really large agricultural type loads, turkey barns, grain dryers in a small, reasonably small area, as well as maybe some lakes area that are close. And that worked really well for us. Now that we've kind of picked that low-hanging fruit, it's harder and harder, but we continue to strive to try to expand that. The people who have it are very satisfied with it. And again, it allows us as a cooperative to engage with more people. It's helping people save money. That's really important. So I wish we did have another project where we can go into, but we just don't at this time. But we do continue to monitor that and look for those opportunities. Thank you, Ash, for that question. That's a great question. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. Please mingle with your board of directors, employees who are here. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh, yes.
I just want to tell you all how proud I am to be a member and how proud I was to see our 7 linemen go to North Dakota. I have a lot of friends out there without power. So, thank you.
There's so many cool stories coming out of that. Brian, you mind sharing one or two? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. No, this is really good. This is Brian's an awesome guy.
I got so long-winded, it was just terrible.
No. Just
Actually, Tyler's one of our newest linemen. He just got back last night. He's one of the 7, and he wanted to sit in a little bit. So, dealing with something like that, the way that thing started out, they thought the guys would go for a couple days, and they were saying, hey, we think we might have 80 poles, 100 poles down. They started, and it wasn't far from hitting us. It hit about a mile from Interstate 28 or 29, and they worked there and stayed in Wyndmere, so they're not far away. They worked there about a day and a half, and as they were putting up line there, the co-op was still figuring out what they had wrong there, and in the process, they kept moving west, and they moved all the way out to Gackle, and the numbers kept growing each day. If you watch their Facebook page or the damage, I think at the end they're estimating 1,250 broken poles for that co-op alone. Our guys visiting with their co-op, our guys were just a godsend. We brought all our great equipment, and that's a tribute to this board that we have what we need when we need it. We didn't even know we needed it in that aspect, but we had it, and the guys, it takes a day or two to get kind of your rhythm going, and they were building miles at a time. Some of the reports I heard were we had a digger truck going back to a pole pile, and they were getting 17 to 20 poles at a time, and they were doing that 2 or 3 times a day. And so if you think 7 men are building building miles and miles of line. And yeah, some of it's temporary work to try and get, but when there's no heat to the homes, you got to do what you got to do to get the power there. And so, I don't know. It just it was felt really good to help. So I don't know, Tyler, you got anything you want to throw in there? But
How do you get such a large supply of poles so quickly?
and there is, so one of the things about like a co-op, the cool thing about when you said we sent guys out there, we are networked through cooperatives. So I know I've been to 9 or 10 different co-ops in our region when I was a lineman. I've been to Kentucky, Katrina, out to New York. When they call for help, it's kind of a all hands on deck and whoever can spare it. The material thing works a lot like that. There was communications with our material guys, so if we had something, we'd send it out there. The pole issue, and that's part of some of the material things that it's been a problem to get. Poles are kind of that way right now, but the first few batches of poles they got, they were right off the bunk. The last few poles, they were taking the bark off, and there was no holes drilled in them, and so. They were bringing them as fresh as they had them, and they were getting them in semi-loads at hundreds at a time. So, but it's kind of that network. You reach out and it's like a 911 call amongst electric utilities is how that works. So,
Thank you, Brian.
yeah.
Anything else? All right. Well, drive safe out there today, everybody. Here, turn it back.
I get to come up here just one more time. I thank you for that question. Yesterday afternoon, after we finished up with the District 4 meeting in Fergus Falls, I didn't get to talk to Brian there, but I got to talk to him last night, and you rattled off those statistics about how those guys worked that hard. But yesterday on my way home from the earlier meeting, I met the 2 trucks coming home. Couldn't tell how the guys looked in the truck themselves, but those trucks that are usually neat as a pin were looking pretty haggard. So it was high time to get them home and get them settled back in. So before we wrap up, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you folks just one more time of our annual meeting, April 18th at 6:30 at Life Church Fergus Falls, Frazee Event Center, and also the Parker's Prairie Event Center. I had the opportunity to watch Tim Thompson's presentation 3 times in the last 2 days. He knocks the ball out of the park every time he does it, and every time I got to watch it, I got to learn something else, and it's kind of hard for me to absorb that your little rural electric cooperative is a $55 million business. Those are the kind of numbers folks like most of us aren't used to throwing around. But I can tell you, I reassure the 67 folks who work here and the 9 board of directors who represent you, take that responsibility very seriously. And I can speak on behalf of our 9 board of directors. We are a rather eclectic bunch, but when we gather every month to see the co-op's business, we become very cohesive, and always look forward to gathering again in the next coming months. So with that said, I can reassure you that we work very hard for the viability of this co-op, and look forward to maintaining that for many years to come. With that said, thank you all very much for coming, and please have a safe trip home.